on my Area 51 line. You're on the air. Hello.
Welcome to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, where what you've known as reality will be shattered by the truth. Krista and Brandy will lift the veil from your eyes, revealing what has either been hidden or denied you for eons.
Hey, hey, hey. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday. It is a good day. It is a good day here on Blondes and Booze.
Absolutely. And I just want to start off by saying thank you to each of you guys for coming on and hanging with Brandy and I tonight. I know you guys all have a lot of other things going on in your busy lives. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we want to start out by everybody starting out strong tonight. We want to start out by saying thank you to Kim for the super chat and for Cryptid Castleberry Paranormal for becoming a member. Welcome to the Booze Club. And we also want to thank Kelly Sanford, please. And thank you, everybody. We appreciate everything that you're doing. We're glad that everybody's here. We have such an important message to send out tonight. And, Krista, I don't think we should even really wait. I mean, I think everybody in our chat knows everybody here. So, I don't think there's any need for introductions because we have a star-studded cast right here.
Yep.
I'm super excited.
Yep. The only thing I would like Jesse to start off by talking about is the fundraiser. If you wouldn't mind doing that. And the link, I thought I pinned it, but I didn't. I will pin it.
Absolutely. So this started kind of on a whim last week. We were kind of looking at some underserved people in the Oklahoma area, particularly. And I came across this place that does therapy for children who are survivors of SA, and we are on YouTube, so we're going to have to just say SA. But it is something that's not really discussed or addressed. But this group are the only people in the state of Oklahoma that provides therapy services for these children, and they provide that at no charge to them or their families. They do family therapy sessions. They have a summer camp session. They have 4 sessions for that, a boys camp and a girls camp for different age groups that they do every year. And it's a week-long camp where the kids can kind of go and be in nature and kind of be a kid again, but also try to work through some of the issues that have arisen from their victimization. And they empower these kids to kind of take control of their lives, heal, and kind of get back to some kind of normalcy after tragic events occur to them outside of their control. This is the only place in Oklahoma that provides these services, and they provide these services for people from the reservation as well. That's the Western Band of Cherokees out there. And we know that that is also an underserved community. So it is really important that we kind of shine a light on these issues and try to do a little good in the world, and try to maybe bring back some magic to these kids that was robbed from them. Yep. The initial goal for the GoFundMe was $500. It takes $250 for one child to go to the summer camp for a week that provides all of their materials, their food, everything, lodging. Our goal was $500. We wanted to send 2 kids to the summer camp. And thanks to my hellbenders, I got to give a shout out to my hellbenders and this group here. We have managed to blow the initial goal out of the water, and we are at, I will give you the exact number right now. We are at $3,365.
Yay! That's awesome.
1 week. And so we blew that out of the water, and hopefully we are able to make at least a small difference in the world and maybe bring back some childhood innocence and wonder back to these kids and help them kind of reclaim their lives.
Yep, absolutely. And just let everybody know the link for it is in the description of the show. And I will here in just a minute find it, and I will pin it to the top of the chat so people can go and donate. And if you can't donate it, we appreciate it. Just share it out. We understand,
Absolutely.
times are tough for people.
Somebody in your circle might be able to donate. So if you share that out and get that out there, we are going to end the fundraising on July 1st. That is next Tuesday. So that is coming up. I have been in touch with the director of Bethesda, and they are absolutely blown away by what we have done here. They've had a lot of their public funds cut. Their federal funds have been cut. And so they're hanging on by a thread most of the time. And the work that these women do and these gentlemen do in this field has been just such a labor of love. And it's a very difficult job, but it's something that is worthwhile and makes a huge difference. So this is going to help fund them and help, bring back some hope to these kids.
Yeah. And I have to say, I was a foster parent for many years, and I actually even adopted my youngest two kids from the foster care system. And I have had a lot of kids come through my house, temporarily that have been abused in every imaginable way. And so if there, was something like this local for them to do, it'd just be great. So I think, when you brought this up, I'm like, this is a no-brainer, because I've lived with these kids. I've seen what these kids go through. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. Their spirit is broke. It's just terrible, and for kids that are so young and have had such a shitty hand handed to them already, it just, I feel like what we're doing, it really hits home, and I appreciate it for sure. Yep. So let's talk some Bigfoot and Dogman.
All right. I am ready. I am ready. I have been waiting all week for this.
Yeah. And you know what? I just pinned it. Gary just shared it, and it's pinned up at the top of the chat. So
The GoFundMe.
Do the GoFundMe up there. The mug is on hold right now. We had a manufacturer issue with those mugs, so we're doing a hold on the sales on the mugs until I can sort that out. But the GoFundMe goes directly to Bethesda. There's no intermediary. It doesn't go to me. I don't have to disperse the funds. It goes directly to Bethesda on July 1st. When that ends, it goes directly from GoFundMe to Bethesda. So the best way to help would be to donate to that GoFundMe.
Absolutely. And I do have to say one more thing. I think Nellie wins the prize for the shirt tonight.
Yes.
She thought ahead.
She did. She totally thought ahead.
I don't think we can see your shirt.
Yeah, show us.
Yeah, show it.
Yeah. She got to fix it first. There you go.
That's what you can expect to see on your mug.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's awesome. So you know what, and that's another thing you need to sell too is t-shirts, because you know what, I'd love to have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah,
I'll get another one.
I'll get on that one. Yeah.
yeah, I'll go down that bandwagon. So anyway, Bigfoot and all of this good stuff. Like we can start with Nellie and go over. How did you guys get into this? I know like you're married to Josh and Paranormal Roundtable, that's it's a huge part of your life, but like, were you into this before you met Josh or how did it all start? We'll just go around the circle.
Yeah, I was into the paranormal stuff my whole life. Like my dad used to talk about it a lot, and my family, we'd sit around talking ghosts and just getting like all the real stories, were out there and terrifying. And I was just looking for answers.
Yeah.
Basically it. But yeah, things did happen though a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it kind of solidified it not being a fairy tale.
Maddie?
Yeah. So for me, it actually started, I was in second grade. I remember at that point, I was really into dinosaurs like most kids. And I saw a book about the Loch Ness Monster. And I was like, oh, that looks like a dinosaur. I'm sold. And from there, I started reading that. And I saw a book about the Abominable Snowman, and the rest is history. And here I am, at 30. I'm still into it.
That's awesome. Awesome. What about you, Jessie?
So I'm from Western North Carolina. I'm from the Appalachian Mountains. I'm a hillbilly. I don't know if y'all can tell, but my family has a long tradition of what we call it as granny witchery. And so it's sort of a folk magic, and it was always a part of my culture. It was part of what I had growing up. My mother did divination, and we did fortune telling and everything like that. And it kind of just started from there. My mother would always see spirits. She could see spirits and interact with spirits. So that was always part of my life. And when I turned 18, I moved to New Orleans, and I lived there for about 10 years. But I always say that I probably spent more time in cemeteries than I did at home. And I did some paranormal investigating down there. I did a lot of contact experiments. And all of that. And I was more interested in the paranormal than anything else. I wasn't really into cryptids at all. I was very much into the paranormal. And I met Joe, and he was really, really into Bigfoot. And we kind of converted each other to each other's side. And eventually we moved back up to the Carolinas. We started hiking a lot, and we sort of wanted to combine our interests of Bigfoot, the paranormal, and outdoor pursuits. So I think that's kind of how it all kind of rolled up, and Hellbent Holler was born, and it's basically become my life at this point.
I understand. Yeah. What about you, Barb?
Well, I've always had I don't want to call it an obsession, but probably close to that with Bigfoot from the time I remember my dad showing me the Patterson Gimlin film and watching, some documentaries and some shows. And I just, from then on, I don't know. It was just something that I also, though, just like Maddie was saying, the Loch Ness Monster, that's something else that really, really intrigues me. I've always been like a weird, person, like into weird. I remember as a little girl, like watching, remember Dark Shadows? That's my
Yeah. That's awesome.
I remember, and I'm thinking, why was I allowed to watch that or whatever?
Anything paranormal on TV, I was like, yes. My mom's like, you're watching that again?
Yep.
Definitely. And then I saw, I ended up seeing a spirit for the first time when I was a teenager. And, and that's kind of really like life changing because it seems like, oh, that's so cool and like exciting and, woo. But then when you really see something right in front of you, that kind of, that really changes. But here I am now back to Sasquatch because I don't know if it's something that they say, maybe you're marked, what I don't know, but living in my yard. And so, and I am now, I'm pretty obsessed. But I did want to say thank you for having me with this. This is just, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy. I really, really love all you ladies. Have followed you for a long time. I was one that used to I lurked in the in the live shows, and I wouldn't say anything because I was too shy. But
You too shy? Oh,
I know.
boy.
Well, I also wanted to say, Jesse, I think this is so great what you're doing, you and Joe. Oh my gosh! And then everybody's hopped on board because what an underserved situation. Like,
Well,
and it's one of the most heartbreaking things.
It's often very taboo to talk about. It's a lot easier to talk about, the Fluffy Kitten Foundation.
Right.
It's a lot easier, and that's something people kind of wrap their heads around. When it comes to this topic, it's so taboo, it's so frightening, and it shakes people up so much they can't really wrap their heads around it, and so they avoid it. They don't talk about it. And they don't address it. So that is partially why it is such a neglected area. And this is such an underserved demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Monica, you're up.
Woohoo. So, I have been exposed to paranormal and everything associated with that from a very young age. I remember as a child in my parents' bed one night watching the shadows changing shapes on the wall and moving. And that's one of my earliest memories of something I would consider paranormal. And growing up in Northern California, of course you hear the Bigfoot stories.
Sure.
And I had a grandfather who was very encouraging of my brother and I to look into it because he thought it was real. And he wasn't going around making it public that he thought it was real, but he encouraged us in our curiosity of it, which was great. I didn't have an adult figure in my life telling me, oh, that's not real. Like, don't do that. I never really had any of that. And when I was 10, I was gifted a book about fairies and the fae, and that's like how I went down that road. So my whole life has been traveling all of these different roads. Mm-hmm. And when I had moved to East Texas, I was watching The Legend of Boggy Creek one night, and I was thinking, well, that's not too far from me. I wonder if people look for Bigfoot, down here, because coming from the Pacific Northwest, you don't really think about it much in other states, especially back in the day. And I got on the newly minted internet and looked up Texas Bigfoot research. And then I got on board with the TBRC, and I really launched my Bigfoot investigation like 23 years ago now, 23 years ago. Through that. So I've always been had my fingers in it somehow, and it's led me here, which is awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool.
Wow. Well, it also landed you on Monster Quest. So there's an experience you can, you have stories to talk about for sure.
That was an experience.
I guess for me, it was always paranormal. It was always paranormal. Everything from a very young age. My mom and her side of the family were, all into that, and where they would do the seances, do the Ouija board, they would do all that kind of stuff. So it was just second nature, and my mom really took it in stride with me because I would say, hey, I saw this shadow thing cross the doorway, blah blah blah, and she'd say, well, sometimes that happens. I'm like, okay, So it was very calm, cool with me growing up, so I'd never felt out of place. And my dad always used to say something very interesting to me, which didn't click until I met Krista. And my dad always used to tell me, hey, it's getting dark out. You better get inside before the booger man gets you. Mm-hmm. It never really clicked to me because I grew up in Michigan, playing out in the woods, everything else. I didn't know what was out there. I do now, but I didn't know at the time. But nothing really clicked. And then when I met Krista, boy, one night we just were sitting out on her back deck, and and she just started asking me, what about Dogman? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I, just lit up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I found my soulmate. I found my hunting partner. Here we go. So really my whole dive into the cryptid world is fairly new. It's only a few years old, but I'm telling you, I can't say enough about what I've experienced, and I know that they're real. I don't believe. I know. That's all I can say about that.
Yep. I'm the same way. For me, it started when I was young. I remember laying in bed. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I was scared to go to sleep before, with my mom or dad, them going to sleep before me. I'd always ask them to stay up and let me go to sleep first. And now I know why, because I would see people, but now I know what they were, what I was actually seeing. So anyway, that's how it started for me. And then my grandma, she was into Reiki and healing of the hands. And I didn't really know it. She used to, if I'd have a headache, she would touch my head. I'd be like, get away, normal teenage stuff. But now I know what she was doing, and it was just pretty amazing. So anyway, that's it for me. So thank you guys, for everybody who's donating. We totally appreciate this. Absolutely appreciate this. So, all right. So that's how we all got started. Let's talk about Bigfoot. Have you guys always been believers in Bigfoot? And then what made you actually decide to really delve into it? Because that's, what we all do now. I
mean, I think what she's trying to say is what still makes you interested in this. Right. What is driving you into finding out more in this field?
Yeah,
I personally had a lot of doubts that Bigfoot existed. I didn't think it was a possibility. I kind of had the attitude that, okay, if this is a big dumb monkey running through the woods, how haven't we caught one yet? How have we not found bones? How has one not been hit by a car? So I didn't believe in it. I didn't think it was real. And then I started looking into it. And then I started experiencing things out in the field. And I do primarily field investigations. I am on the ground, boots on the ground every week. I do short documentary films on our channel that chronicle our adventures out in the Southern Appalachian area. But I think it was just over time, you experience these things, you hear these things, you see the footprints, and as that evidence starts to pile up, you can't deny what you're saying, and you can only make so many excuses and try to do as many mental gymnastics as possible to try to explain what you're seeing and what you're experiencing and explain it away as something else. Misidentification, it's another animal, it's this. But when it keeps happening, when you keep having these experiences, it's no longer a coincidence, and you can't just write it off anymore. So I had to evolve my thinking, and I think time in the woods, boots on the ground investigations has allowed me to evolve that. And I no longer think that maybe it's a monkey in the woods. It's something else entirely different. And I don't know what. I don't know what it could be, but I've gone from I don't think this exists to perhaps this is a relict hominid to now I have no clue what this is, but there is something out there in the woods.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. Nellie and Maddie, what about you guys? What do you guys think about him?
So I think for me, like I said, having read books at such a young age, and we see how Bigfoot's so ingrained in like pop culture. There's just movies, shows, like 1,000,001 documentaries about finding, Bigfoot and stuff. So I think that kind of did part of it for me. I, kind of like Jesse had entertained at one point, like, oh, maybe it's just an ape, so it can't be that far-fetched. But I think once stepping into this YouTube community back in 2020 and hearing people's encounters and that there's more than just kind of a flesh and blood aspect to this, it kind of really made me change my perspective as to what we've been told for so long, and we still have little to no evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Nellie, what about you?
I'm with Maddie on that one, just like the evidence part.
Yeah, I hear you. Arp?
Well, I, like I said, I'd always been kind of obsessed about it. And in 2013, we were moving from Illinois out to the Pacific Northwest state of Washington, where I live now. And my son said, hey, Mom, guess what? The county that you're moving to, that has the highest reports of Bigfoot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. But I don't, it was exciting, but I never really, I never thought, I thought they existed, but I didn't think that they just are around. That, we live on a rural peninsula on the Puget Sound, but I just thought they would be way out, like in the, I don't know, Olympic National Park, or in national parks, or just in vast forests, not living close to people as I know now that they do. And what actually, two things happened. First of all, when I guess it was about 7 months after we moved into the house that we have, that's, like I said, on the Puget Sound, my husband actually found big bare footprints under our house. And he's much more skeptical, and, certainly at the time than I was, but he finally said, look, he's a hunter. He grew up on a farm. He's like, I don't know what else that these things could be. There are no other, they literally look like giant barefoot prints, human, And then he told me, and I'm like, yes, but still thinking maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't, it's just a fluke thing. Maybe they're passing through. They don't actually just live around here. Our house sat vacant for a long time. The woman that built it, she was kind of like, like a snowbird. So she would go to Arizona for the dark period of the year, which in Washington State is like almost all of it. So she didn't spend a lot of time there. And I think that they were probably just, what I was thinking at the time, they're just curious what's going on here now when there's not been anybody around. I don't know, Then we went camping in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, which is, we were in the southwestern part of Washington State. And I was awakened by these screams and yells like I'd never heard. I mean, it was, even with all the Bigfoot documentaries that I've watched. And at first I thought, is this just because it sounded human, but it didn't. It was human, but kind of inhuman. It didn't sound at all like an animal. But I know that animals do, they can sound human. So as I was laying there terrified, and I didn't even want to like move, I didn't want to even wake my husband up because I thought I don't want to call any attention to us. But I'm going through all the animals. Okay, what are the animals that are in this area and what do they sound like? And I didn't even say anything to my family until late the next day, or maybe I think it was actually maybe like the next day, because I wanted to get home and listen to a bunch of sounds on the internet and see what I can rule out. But the thing was that these yells, I'm thinking it was about 6 to 8 creatures, beings, and the yells were so sustained, the way that it was like able to carry, humans can't, we can't hold notes or whatever that long.
Yeah.
I was not close enough to feel the concussive sort of syndrome that infrasound. Yes. That I'm now I'm very familiar with. I wasn't close enough. All right. So that was that. And then I was like, okay, when I got home, listen, I'm like, no animals. And a few months later, I heard a recording of I believe it's the Ohio Screams, maybe the Ohio.
The Ohio Howl.
But, and that was it. That was like, okay, this is it. This is it to a T. It's just that there was, like I said, 6 to 8 creatures that were, it seemed like they were on the other side. Like as I'm laying, it's coming from one side and then this side, like they're calling to each other, from whatever, quite far, but it was super scary. Then after that, we started getting some, physical evidence in our yard, and just kind of things like, how can you, then a tree break, a big X made. I mean, just like, oh my gosh. Then the first day that I decided that I was encouraged by my, my researching buddies now, mentors, I was encouraged to just go out, take a look around, don't take your camera, because you're not going to see anything, or you're going to have zero experiences if you take your camera. Well, I was like, well, I don't think I'm ready to have any experiences, so I'm going to take my camera. So, and I know I've told you, you ladies have heard this, had it, camera in one of those pouches around my neck, just going. I wasn't really thinking about it. I walked around into the area that I thought was kind of like potentially, because there's teepees back there. There's a brush, like a very rustic type of, like you would think that it's bush, what is that? What is a bush, like a training, whatever. What is it? You know what I'm talking about. At first I thought it was that. Then I realized, and actually I'd asked my son about it, because it's down like into this kind of like big ravine. So I had found it and I said to him, what do you think about this? He's like, well, let's go look at it. And he's like, Mom, that would be really dangerous for anybody to be in that, because it really is. It's like on a high cliff bank to the Puget Sound, and it kind of hangs over. And so yeah, I mean, not to say that it's not, but it seems very, very far-fetched. I also found a little wood igloo that, and I say because it was a perfectly, like, looks like an igloo, but it's made of all these branches and stuff. And I thought, well, so on this day that I'm going out and I'm going to do my first researching, and I got grunted at the end. And I also got hit with, which I didn't know at the time, I didn't know anything about infrasound, but now I know, probably zapped by infrasound, because I had that very disoriented feeling, and got grunted at. And that's the first time with that grunt, and it wasn't that loud. And I was able to capture it on my phone.
Right.
But I felt that. It was just but I felt it. So if any of you know what I'm talking about,
Well, that brings up a good thing, Barbara, of what you're saying. I mean, I felt something weird with my second encounter. I don't know if it was infrasound or what it was, but there was definitely a sensation, absolutely. But has anyone else been in or have felt what infrasound is, or went out in the field or anything like that? Has anybody else had that?
There's a big misconception about infrasound, and my husband could probably go on about this for hours about this, but the whole thing with infrasound is infrasound does not affect you in the way that people think it does. What people are showing symptoms of is more of the after effects of high doses of electromagnetic radiation. But like I said, my husband is more of the expert on it. He's gone on some deep dives. We've actually had an infrasound detecting device built by this company that builds these devices to test for infrasound coming off of wind farms, so that people can determine if they have any ill effects on you. And they're used in lawsuits and monitoring and everything like that. You have animals like whales that produce infrasound, and that's how they communicate over long distances. But you don't have, Jacques Cousteau never bobbled to the surface because a whale produced infrasound next to him.
Right.
Affect him in that way. And if you look at the scale of things, like a Bigfoot versus a whale's going to produce a lot more infrasound than a Bigfoot possibly could. But I think there's sort of a misconception, and people are experiencing these things. They're experiencing nausea, disorientation, all of this. People are experiencing that, but I think it is wrongly being attributed to infrasound when it's actually the effects of something else. And we've just kind of labeled it as infrasound. So kind of like dispelling that a little bit. There was a bioacoustician who made like an offhanded comment one time that tigers use infrasound.
Right.
I've heard of that.
Tigers they don't stun their prey. They attack from behind. They stalk their prey. That's why in India, people wear masks on the back of their heads with a face on it, so that the tigers do not attack them from the rear. So they don't stun their prey. They don't have to do that. That was kind of a throwaway line that a lot of people in the Bigfoot world have latched onto. But there's no real evidence for it. But I think this is definitely happening. I just think it's something else. I think we're kind of mislabeling what infrasound is and what is happening to these people.
Yeah. It makes sense.
That is interesting, because I mean, you are talking about a type of radiation, and yes, that could bring on the symptoms that you're talking about, Jesse. Yeah. So that's very interesting. Yeah, we're gonna have a discussion about that, because that is interesting.
Joe, if Joe gets started on the infrasound subject, every time we're doing our show or something, and somebody goes, "Well, you were hit by infrasound," and Joe goes, and I go, "Oh no, oh no, oh no!"
I was bracing for it.
I'm like, "Let's settle in. It's gonna be an hour and a half, guys," because he will go into it. But it's really fascinating when you actually do a deep dive into it. That it is. Something is happening for sure. Right. I have experienced this. Many of you have experienced this, but it's something else, and we got to kind of figure out what the heck it is. But it's not. It has no hallmarks of infrasound.
Yeah. I was definitely feeling something before I understood the situation that I was in. Yeah. So I mean, like you said, Jesse, I mean, this could be 1,000 different things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting subject. That's just another show. That's a whole other show.
That is really interesting. I'd love to hear what Joe has to say. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We will talk to you about it.
Because what was odd, like the weight for me, it was how it was so strong. I thought that I was having a stroke or I don't know, a heart attack. I didn't have pain, but I'm like, what is happening to me? And
it would have to be insane amounts. If it was infrasound doing that, it would have to be just they've done experiments in the military where they have hit people with infrasound, and they did insane levels that were just specialized equipment built to produce insane levels for an intense period of time. And you barely got any of these symptoms that are described. But when you have just a slight bit of this electromagnetic, it really affects people. So I think it's more in that field than, say, an infrasound.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to remind everybody that we're kind of having like a telethon thing here going on. And I just want to remind everybody at the top of chat, the GoFundMe account for the Bigfooters for Bethesda is listed up there. Please, please, please donate. If you cannot donate, please share it out. It is only going to July 1st. We have a limited amount of time to get as many children to camp as we can. So please, please, please donate.
Yes. And real quick on the infrasound thing. So not only out in the woods, I've never actually had anything like that happen when we were out in the woods. However, I've been at haunted locations, you know, where I have felt nauseated or even got chest pains and had to walk out of the building. So, you know,
and if you had a tri-field meter going at that time and you were measuring the electromagnetic spectrum there, you might have got a spike during that, and it
might have been pegged, you know, because of the severity of your symptoms.
Yeah.
Unless you're super sensitive, and then, you know, just a little bit will do. But normally when something like that happens, you do, like Jess said, do get a good big spike off of that.
Yeah.
Monica, what do you think about that?
About infrasound?
Yeah. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I've always been on the fence with it because I've spent a fair amount of time out in the woods. I've done research for ages. And I think that I've likely been in close range to Bigfoot. Never saw one. It's hard for me to pin my finger on that. No, I know for sure because I haven't seen it, but I've seen other things. And if those things exist, then I'm not going to argue about Bigfoot.
Right.
You know, I've ever since it started becoming a subject, like back in the early 2000s, when it really started gaining popularity as potentially an effect from Bigfoot. I've always been on the fence with it because I couldn't see it. Like, I mean, I could perhaps getting like an uneasy feeling, like you get that predator feeling. I can understand that, but these symptoms where people are getting nauseous and they're getting dizzy all of a sudden, it was hard for me to associate that with infrasound. Because when we were like in the Gifford Pin show, that's where I did a lot of my research. There were cougars. Like I was very near a town called Cougar, and
we got some cougars on this panel right now.
But okay, Jesse, thank you for saying it.
And I don't know, like they were at the time they were claiming that cougars potentially like emitted infrasound. And I'm just thinking I never felt anything other than maybe a predator sense, like, you know, the hair on your neck starts to stand up, or, you know, there's something in the area, that kind of a thing. I can see that being associated with it more than just these, I'm dizzy and I'm sick. I think that you're definitely, like Jesse said, people are definitely experiencing something. I'm just not sold that it's infrasound.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
Nellie,
I
I was going to ask Nellie, and then what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, since it's an interdimensional being, it's working with different types of energies and frequencies, not necessarily what it's going to be throwing at you in a sound sense, but in a way that we don't understand. And it's something that's not here. It's on the other side of the realm, and then they can bring that with them, and they know how to affect you on a quantum level, and make you feel a way you don't want to feel. You know, they can make you feel sick, or or make sure that you don't even see them. You know, they know how to manipulate this world because this is simple to them. They come and go, and where they're from, it's more complex. So this is like making a cake with two recipes, you know, like two ingredients. You know, for them, it's nothing, in my opinion.
Well said. Well said. Absolutely.
You know, last time, I'll go ahead, Brandy.
I said, well, Krista, I was waiting for you.
Well, everybody knows my thoughts on it. I just
Everybody knows my thoughts are okay.
I mean, I honestly, I don't know what it is, but my next thing I'd like to talk to you guys about is, last night we had Monica on and we talked about the Fae. And she brought up something, and I hadn't really thought about it until last night's show. The orbs people see out in the woods. I've witnessed it myself many times. And, and I had always thought, could it be, on the ghost side of things? Maybe it's a Bigfoot, or Dogman or something, coming through a portal. I didn't know, but she mentioned the Fae. What do you, and that put a whole new perspective in my head there, like, why couldn't it be the Fae, these orbs that people are seeing? Because, I'm pretty sure most of us have seen them. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say whether or not if you see a light in the wood that clearly doesn't belong.
Sure.
Whether that would be paranormal or Fae or whatever here. I mean, that's kind of a difficult line to draw, just because we know that the paranormal outputs light source, right? You can see definitely orbs, and ghosts have the ability, or spirits have the ability, to present themselves as these balls of light. And I mean, there is a natural phenomenon also that projects balls of light in the wood. Like, it's a really hard line to draw with all of it. If you keep an open mind, yeah, it could be a Fae. It 100% could be a spirit, right? It could be a haunting. It could be a swamp gas. I mean, it could be a lot of things emitting light in the woods. I mean, it depends on the individual experiences. To be able to try to connect it to something rational in your mind. Because I think we all try to connect it to something rational. Nobody's just running off the res with that.
Right. Exactly.
It could be a mixture of energies entwining, though, from a small amount of paranormal in the vicinity, and then yours, and then creating something there.
Oh, I like that. I like that theory. That's interesting. Sort of like it interacts with you and it creates that explosion of energy, huh?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Wow. I never thought about it that way.
No, that's a really interesting take on it. Wow.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's like, thanks a lot. Now you just
more, Nelly.
Now I'm gonna be awake all night thinking about all of that.
Sorry.
Because that wasn't a little thing. That was a big woo. Okay.
Yeah. Like manifesting is what you're saying.
Yes, but not just manifesting with your thoughts, with your physical being, your internal energy, your spiritual energy.
It out like a battery, like it's pulling it off of you.
Yeah, like it's feeding off of your energy.
Yeah.
Well, either that, or it's just an unconscious willingness to connect with something else out there on a spiritual paranormal level, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's great.
Sorry.
Again, thank you, Nelly.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, I mean, because I guess we're so worried about, and I say this a lot, but we're so worried about putting the puzzle pieces together to find out the complete truth, that we're missing the mental side of everything. We're always focused on the physical side of cryptids and everything, but we're not seeing that spiritual side. And I don't think that if we can't connect the two together, that we're not gonna find out everything that we need to know.
Not at all.
I mean, is Bigfoot real? Yeah. Okay, great. Now what are you gonna tell me? Tell me something else. Tell me something else about their spiritual being, their welfare, there's something. Tell me something else, because I already know that. It's kind of like when they came out and said, "Oh well, aliens are real." Okay, tell me something I didn't know.
That was a big, interesting. I mean, it was really a comment on the state of the world when they basically admit that aliens are there and they're an actual thing, and everybody around the world is just like, eh.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, thanks, Captain Obvious. Knew about that.
It's like we've been there, done that, now what?
And here's the thing too. So here, I guess it was Memorial Weekend. Brandy and I spent the weekend at Emmaus Asylum, and there's 300 and something acres there, and we were getting housed. And I actually had sent Joe the howl just to get his take on it. And this has been back in like November. And since then we've captured more. So Miguel Ramirez from Sasquatch Theory, he joined us that weekend, and we were getting tree knocks, we were getting all kinds of crazy things. And on top of it, it wasn't just like the knocks and the whoops that we were getting in the woods. We had paranormal activity, and on top of it, we looked up into the sky, and I know, and Brandy can attest this, we probably seen 25 UFOs.
Wow.
At least, well, unexplained. They're just unexplained. They had no rhyme or reason to the way that they were going or they were flying. Plus the paranormal activity. We were camping outside of the asylum, outside, and we were physically watching things happening inside with unexplained light sources and all kinds of things. I mean, this is like the super trifecta area that we're dealing with there, which we're going back tomorrow. I'm very happy about it. But I mean, it is a trifecta. So not only do I have to figure out, okay, I know Bigfoot's real and find out all about Bigfoot, but now I've got to figure out how all of these things intertwine. Why is there this trifecta? Why is this all happening? I mean, it's definitely a lifelong pursuit. And, I'll just keep doing it as long as I can.
Yeah. I think just accept that we will never know. We'll never know in our lifetime. I think that all you can do is just kind of hammer on hard charger and try to see if you can get a few of these little glimpses of what's going on and a few ideas of what's going on and just try to pursue that as much as you can. But sometimes I feel like we're looking for puzzle pieces when the universe is out here playing Jenga. It's like we don't even know what sport we're playing. And I think we need to once you accept, just come to the acceptance that I don't know what's going on. I'll never know what's going on. But if I can just get small glimpses of it, that is more than most people will ever experience in their lives. Just try to have the small glimpses of it and try to just touch the veil a little bit,
Absolutely. Yeah, because that's what I tell everybody. I said, I'll find out when I die.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, see, I was wrong.
All the answers, hopefully.
Oh my God. I want to come back and tell everybody, see, I told you so.
I just want to come back and go, you're not even close. Just say.
Yeah, that's my thing. So do you guys believe that Bigfoot and Dogman are on the same realm, the same type of creature or being, whatever you want to call it? Do you think they're the same, or do you think they're a little different, and why? Anybody?
I think they're different. I think they can share different realms, because if you look at some of them, they kind of resemble each other. Some people, when they have an encounter, like, I can't really tell. Well, in that instance, maybe they are from a certain realm timeline. That's where they're coming from. And I think we're getting inundated by different creatures from many different timelines or realms that are running parallel with us and around us and backwards. So it's got a smorgasbord of things happening.
Yeah. And I've heard of it. I've heard of them working together, like Martin Groves, his encounter, Bigfoot and Dogman were together. So, I don't know. That's why I asked, just because I personally don't know.
I think that for some reason, it seems like when you look at a lot of these accounts and you hear people's experiences, it seems like Dogman is more akin to a spiritual thing. It's often described as demonic, pure evil, feeding off of fear. And it has more of this paranormal spiritual leaning to it, as opposed to a lot of people's experiences with Bigfoot is a physical creature there before you. And people have experienced mind speak, and they've felt energies and everything from Bigfoot, but you've got a bigger sample size of Bigfoot experiences as opposed to Dogman experiences, but you never hear really about a positive Dogman experience. It's always pure evil, demonic, but you do have people who have positive experiences with Sasquatch or neutral experiences with Sasquatch. Right. But it seems like it's inherently, there is something wrong and evil and foul about Dogman.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, there's like
I
people and their
talked to
different
people- I don't-
personalities, you know.
Yeah, I don't mean to. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I've talked to people recently, and I was talking about this on a show that I was on last night. There's more examples of women having positive interactions now with dogmen. Have any of you heard about that?
The only one that I know of that I can think of that wasn't negative was Bettina's encounter. And it, she saw it and it mind spoke to her and said, oh, it's just you or something along those terms, so hers wasn't terrible, but hers is the only one I know of. Everybody else is, was pretty frightening.
I've heard encounters where they're neutral.
Yeah.
Out to scare you, because I do believe that the majority of them feed off of fear somehow.
Yeah.
But I've heard experiences also where they're pretty like just kind of hanging out there watching. They're not trying to actively terrorize you. They're not chasing you through the woods. They're not following you. They're just kind of sitting on the side of the road checking out what's going on. So, I mean, that's the closest thing I would say to a positive experience that I've heard. I mean, I've heard, of course, the 411 books, there were a few instances where children specifically got lost and Mr. Wolf protected them or Mr. Wolf hid them. Kind of things. So, I mean, that's not necessarily negative, not necessarily positive either, if you're going to take stock in those stories.
Do we think that could be a different entity, like a wolf person versus a dog person? I don't know. I've heard that is a possibility. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't differentiate the two, probably. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily, but, I do think that you hear these stories like Nellie and Jesse said about Bigfoot being more spiritual. I think that there are all different types. There's different types of Bigfoot. Some of them are physical. Some of them are spiritual entities. I think Dogman, there's likely some physical, just like Bigfoot, likely some physical, and the majority seem to be some sort of spiritual. Because I know when I had my encounter, it was crazy, and the place that I had it was insane. I don't know where that thing came from. I don't know where it went to. I mean, it's in the middle of a major city. Granted, it was a pretty forested neighborhood, but still it's in the middle of a major city. Where did it come from and where did it go? Because something like that is not going to go unnoticed walking down the Dallas North Tollway.
Right.
Yeah. Those of you, do you want to tell it real quick?
Yeah.
Just because it's a quick one, if you want to tell it.
I mean, it did happen pretty quick. So I was driving home one night, or not home. I was driving to my daughter's work to pick her up. And it was like 11:30 at night. It was somewhere around there. And I was turning off of not the highway, but it's a pretty major road in Dallas. And I was turning into a subdivision, and it's a pretty wealthy area. There's larger estates there. And as I made the turn, I saw something running towards the road, kind of off in the distance. And this neighborhood is very dark. There's only one street light, maybe 30 yards down the road, and then it's a ways to the next one. So I saw something moving low to the ground. I thought it was a dog, because it was kind of shaped like a dog.
Sure.
I didn't accelerate. I'm still kind of coasting because I don't want to hit it. And then it notices me and it turns towards me and starts running towards me. Well, at the same time, I start getting this sensation, and it's very difficult to explain the sensation if you haven't experienced it, because it was this overwhelming, just literal waves of just negative energies, the best way I can describe it. I've never experienced anything like that before or since, but every hair on my body stood up. All of a sudden I'm feeling like fight or flight. Makes no sense to me, because I think it's a dog still running towards me. I don't know why I'm getting this sensation. And as it gets closer, it's going from a run to more like a bound. And then it's kind of the last few strides or hops, really. And it lands about 10, 15 feet from my passenger side window. And it lands in the time I called it a runner stance, but like a superhero, like one arm down and one arm up for balance. It lands like that. And I can't remember if it was standing up or if it what it was doing, but then it eventually just kind of leans forward while it's, down on one arm. It leans forward and cranes its neck to look in the passenger window and just follows my car as I'm coasting by. Wow. And I'm like, still, like, all of this took place very quickly, but I'm come to, right? And I'm still feeling that crazy, like negative feeling. And I punch it, I gun it, I just floor it. And I speed through that neighborhood. I ran every single stop sign there was in that neighborhood. And I was terrified to look in my rearview mirror because I was convinced this thing was chasing me, right? Because I ran, so predator prey. And I'm waiting to feel it jump onto the trunk of my car. And I'm convinced that, like, they're going to find my car on the side of the road with blood everywhere and the windows broken out and I'm gone and nobody's going to know what's happened. So clearly it didn't get me. I get to my daughter's work and I turn around to where I'm facing the street I just came out of because her work was at the T intersection where that road ends. And nothing came out. She came into the car and I debated going back down there to see if, I would feel better if somebody else saw it, but then I also don't want to subject my child to that. So I took the long way home. And I remember going to sleep that night thinking, can that thing track me by scent? Like, can it follow my, like, can it find me? Because I wasn't, but maybe I'm really bad with distance, like maybe 6 to 10 miles as the crow flies from where that took place, which doesn't seem like in a natural setting, that's not that far. That's not that far of a range. So
I don't think it'll track you like that, though.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's what was going through my mind. I didn't think I'd be seeing something like that. Sure. And I used to go running at night, and I remember trying to run one more time after that experience, and I got maybe halfway through the run, and every scratch of a leaf going across the concrete and every, like, wind rustled brush, like, flipped me out. I ended up turning around and having to go home because I was scared. Because I was thinking, am I going to drive up to my house one day and this thing's going to pop up out of the bushes because it figured out where I was.
Right.
I also think, like, once you start having experiences like that, you're more prone to continual experiences like that. Like, I've always had strange things happen throughout my life. That's by far the scariest and strangest. But, I feel like once your mind and your eyes are open up to that thing or that type of thing, that you're more apt to have that repeat.
Yeah, once they get their foot in the door, so to speak, they can keep it open just to keep on putting that stuff in your life.
Yeah, I think for me growing up, because I've had paranormal experiences, but I was still into cryptids, but I grew up in the suburbs outside of Chicago, and I always thought, well, at least I don't have to worry about that because they don't come to populated areas. But then once I got into this, I'm like, oh, they do.
Yeah, I believe actually a Dogman was seen down around the St. Louis Arch, and that's a really populated area.
Wow. He was on vacation.
Yeah.
Sightseeing.
So it doesn't matter where you live, in my opinion. It really doesn't. Yeah. And that's the thing, what you had said, like having an encounter with one thing and then it just opens you up. Maybe we all have light bulbs on our head, as something happens, then the other side sees this. You know what I'm saying? And it's more apt to say, okay, let's show ourselves to this person or that person. And,
my mom used to tell me when I was young, like, if you emit a light, like if you're in tune, like, because I believe in vibration, right? I believe everything's energy, everything.
Yes,
frequency.
I'm with you on that.
And my mother would say, when you're on a certain frequency and you can experience these things and see these things, you emit a type of light to these things that attracts them into you.
Yeah.
So she was like, you emit some sort of frequency or light or whatever you want to call it that these things are drawn to, and that's why you keep having these crazy experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Really quick, Jesse, can you answer Keith real quick about his mug with the picture? I guess his.
Okay, yeah. So what is going on? I got my mug yesterday, and the graphic is printed on it. It is an S show on that graphic. So that's an issue with the manufacturer. I am in contact with the manufacturer right now. So hold tight. I've got all of your emails. You guys are going to get some ugly mugs. Don't break them or anything yet. I'm waiting on my manufacturer to let me know what the next steps are, but we'll either send out more mugs that are correct or we'll refund you. But we didn't sell a ton of mugs. That was kind of a bridge just to get this GoFundMe going too. Ken thinks the GoFundMe is the real thing that's really raising money for it. But we'll probably see what we can do about sending out mugs, or you'll get a refund. But I'll keep you guys posted. I've got everybody's emails that ordered them. So as soon as I figure out what's going on with my manufacturer, I will let y'all know.
Yeah, but doesn't that make you mad? It's like you only had one job.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I have in my store, I have a ton of mugs and stuff, and people ordered them. They're fine. I have a bunch of them. They're fine. It's just the one mug that I want to do for a good cause here. We have issues for. So, but yeah, we'll let everybody know. We're just going to figure out what's going on with the manufacturer, and then I will keep everybody posted. And then we might be able to use them for target practice or something. We'll figure out.
Well, send them back to you so you can do that.
Let me know. I'm interested in that.
I'll send them to Brandy.
Hey, that's how I relax. Target practice.
Well, it's funny.
That's good.
My son, I was telling my son, the whole thing about the mugs and all of that tonight over dinner. And he's actually getting a divorce. And so he's getting his own set of everything. And he showed me some of the coffee mugs he got, and a lot of them have like those colorful words on them. Like, I need one of those. I need one of those for my collection. I'm like, okay, I will order you one.
That's awesome.
So let me know when I can reorder again.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll figure it out. And I'll let everybody know. I put a stop on it right now because I got mine yesterday. I pulled it out of the box and I went, oh my God. So yeah, it's a manufacturer issue, but we'll either refund everybody or we'll get new mugs issued out with the correct graphic on it.
Yeah, no problem.
I think somebody was sleeping that day.
Yeah, somebody put that in a box and the graphic is like sideways and then huge and just it's a cluster. So
It's like you didn't notice that. What's the matter with you?
Yeah. Or call, and say, maybe, the what you sent us is not really going to go well on this mug. So what?
Yeah.
Can we do? But they're like, nah, just print it.
And I have I do all
They
the
won't
graphic
notice.
design for my channel and everything. And like I said, I have mugs that I've been making for a long time. And it's like, the design parameters are correct. This is just a manufacturing issue. So they just did the print on them, just, soup sandwich style. So
It's okay. It'll all get lined out and then we'll all have our mugs. So
yeah, really.
no problem.
Well, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit because we did talk about this, Chris and I and Brian Bound the other night a little bit about. There's a lot of things in the cryptid community that I don't like. I personally don't like. And I was wondering what is something that you think in this community that would be nice to change?
I think that the research lines are so heavily drawn because I research everything, but I was really heavily into the Bigfoot research for many years. And let me tell you, those people just do not want to consider anything paranormal. They don't want to consider anything outside of it is flesh and blood, period, end of story. It's some giant monkey. And really, it's the same with the paranormal community. I would like to see everybody have the open mind that they claim to have across all of the areas. Like, just because I didn't experience something that you experienced doesn't mean that you didn't experience that.
Right.
I have to agree with that. And that's one thing too. And people have mentioned this before. It's like the ghost people don't talk to the Bigfoot people. The Bigfoot people don't talk to the alien people. But the more we kind of explore these topics, you realize that these things are so interconnected. And,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Having that cross discipline would help a lot. I think that people in the ghost arena could probably help Bigfooters with research. What I do, I combine all the techniques from paranormal ghost hunting techniques with Bigfoot techniques, and we've gotten some really wild stuff. But I think you are correct, absolutely, Monica, that everybody needs to kind of start getting experience in cross disciplines when it comes to this.
And just chill out and open the mind. Yeah, I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm open-minded." No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Like I always say, like stay in your own lane. Like if you don't agree, that's fine.
That's okay.
Nobody can say, I mean, I can say that a Bigfoot exists because one was sitting right there in front of me and I see them. Okay. But I can't say what they are. I was also thinking they were just a relic hominid. It's a big undiscovered ape that's just very elusive and able to hide itself. No, there's so much more, but I don't care to prove that to anybody. And if somebody thinks different, that's fine, but don't just write, that,
Yeah, just don't
I'm chasing like relic monkeys through the woods, but that ghost that you saw, no way.
Yeah.
There's something called the boggle threshold. And it's that point in your mind where you stop accepting something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have your boggle threshold is, okay, I'll believe this, but I can't go to this. And I think everybody kind of raising that threshold a little bit would probably benefit everybody in every discipline.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Nellie, Maddie, what do you guys think? What would you like to change?
I mean, I'm completely on board with the rest of you. It blows my mind when you have one community saying, "Oh, those people, they're so weird." Hello, mainstream society thinks we're all absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
So what, really, yeah.
Yeah, we're all the same crazy group to the mainstream,
Right. It's like, but I'm not that crazy. That's the bad kind of crazy. I'm the good kind. Trust me.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brandy, what about you? You're up, Brandy. What would you like?
What's for me? Okay, sorry. I'm busy. My whole screen went blank, and I was just trying to get it back on.
Asleep at the wheel.
This is a subject that really gets under my skin, and it's all the hoaxing. I am so sick of these clearly not Bigfoot out there running around in the woods. I am so sick of it. Or the
People finding
throwing a rock and going,
skulls.
"Oh, that's Bigfoot." Oh, that's Bigfoot. It's just a rock. You threw it. We've seen it. It's okay. But listen, everybody. Hey, that's abnormal.
That's true.
Very.
Yeah.
Instead of a pocket full of sunshine, got a pocket full of rocks.
Just saying.
One of my favorite videos of David Paulides, it was one he did on his social media, and it's like a Q&A thing, and he just stares right at the camera and goes, "One thing you need to know about Bigfoot and the Bigfoot community, it's full of psychos." And I was like, holy crap,
He's not lying.
you are correct.
That's it.
Yep. I have to agree with Josh right here at the bunny suit. Does it all, don't it?
Again, that's abnormal.
Yep.
I'm just sipping on my tea, y'all. It's fine.
I heard that ghouls do things like that though too,
Oh, wait a minute. There's another sip of tea. Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of water.
That's
I think maybe we should make the paranormal community more like the Masons. You have to be like, someone has to invite you in.
Yeah. This isn't an open club, please.
Yeah.
We're closing the dates right now.
Everybody has to re-register. I'm sorry.
And don't come with a booger card.
I do have to say this though. I mean, I don't know if this kind of resonates with anyone, but I mean, I got into the paranormal, but it's been very easy transition from being in the paranormal world and stepping into the crypto world. It has been a very easy step for me. I mean, for a lot of people, like I think Monica had said, "Oh my gosh, there's a Bigfoot. Yes, it's real, but there's a ghost. Nope, that's not real." But for me, it was just kind of very easy for me to say, hey, there's a lot of things out here in this world that we don't understand. We don't know. And I feel that maybe if people had open minds about, a lot of these things, maybe we can get to more of a truth. You know what I mean? Instead of just everybody out for themselves. Maybe if we joined together, and shared things with each other, that we're correct and not like some organizations omitting, half of the story. Maybe we can find out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that we're all in it for the common goal.
Yep.
I think some are in it for themselves and they're hoping for that I found Bigfoot and I have his body in my freezer type thing.
The
Yeah.
ego.
I really think that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's across all of them. I mean, it's not just Bigfoot where the ego comes in. It's, UFO, holy cow, paranormal. I mean, the ego feeds the craziness, really.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's my thing too, like I'm all about like helping someone else out and uplifting, we only have like 3,700 subscribers. However, there's people that have less than us. I'm all about like sharing them out and asking my people to follow them and,
Yes.
and things like that. And I wish people would, uplift each other more than what they do, because I feel like it's just like the circle here of all of us that we do that. I think we all do that well. We all support each other and other groups, and people just
there's not a limited amount of pie.
No.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Everybody gets a piece of pie, y'all. Everybody gets a piece of pie.
Well, that's
You get a piece and you get a piece.
It's a scarcity mentality. That it seems like a lot of people have this idea that if somebody is watching my channel, that means they're not watching your channel. And I'm like, there are so many people who are so hungry and desperate to get more and more cryptid content. You can't give them enough. They cannot get enough. And it's someone watching my channel is not going to take anything away from your channel. They're going to watch both.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just realize
the hungry hippo people. They're just like, it's mine.
Yeah, exactly.
a lot of Brandy and mine, our views, are after our show. We get after people watch them, after the lives are over. We're good with that. That's okay. And so I'm all about, uplifting my fellow friends and researchers. It's what it's all about for me. So
I have to say personally, because this can be very overwhelming and it can be very, I felt so alone. Sometimes I still a little bit do because, you can't just go out and say, hey, I'm having a bad day because I saw a Sasquatch again looking at, and then people are like, oh, ooh, crazy.
right.
And so I'm just so thankful to have a community, especially of women like you all, that, we may not believe in the same things or research methods are different, but we can get along and support each other.
Right.
Because that's how we learn though, too.
Yeah, I'll still talk to all of you tomorrow. I don't have any problem. I mean, just because I can't wrap my head around something you may say.
Yeah.
I mean, just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's any less real.
Right.
So you tell me about it because, if something like that happens to me, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, they told me about that. And then I'm like, okay, it's just, it's for the good of everyone, share it.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think it's oh, sorry, I was just going to say, I think it's sad when you hear people come forward with these encounters and they say, yeah, I can't even talk to anyone in my personal life, friends, family, like people who literally have no one, and this is all they have.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, this is something good. Can you pull up the chat with Terry Mosby? Just pull up what she just said out there.
She says, do you ladies find it harder to be in the Bigfoot community because it's more of a man thing? It seems to be that way in the UFO community. What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
that was an evil laugh.
I haven't had any like really bad ones. Like
I have.
If someone did say something or I didn't notice.
Well, that's good. You let it roll off your back, right? You don't pay attention to it. I was in a group and I gave my opinion like I do, very unfiltered. I've been with these people for a decade at this point, almost. And my unfiltered comment enraged the men in the group so much that I was forced to quit.
Wow.
And my friend said, it's because you're a mouthy broad and men don't like mouthy broad.
That's true.
So I need a badge that says mouthy broad.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, don't you know women are supposed to be seen, not heard? God.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see a new T-shirt.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know who I am. We've talked about this before. Like what you see here is 100% what you get in person. There is like very little filter going on. And
She's right. She's
they
right.
they knew it though. That's what threw me for this, because I've been with these people for so long, and it's not like suddenly
Yeah,
like I'm a
that's-
B word out of nowhere. Like you know me. And this one little phrase, I put in a comment set them off.
Can you say that phrase?
I don't give a good goddamn.
Oh, okay.
And that's
And that, like, you would think I called their mom everything but a
Yeah.
child of God by the reaction I got.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you all seen that thing going around Facebook? It's the I Do Not Care Club. Have you seen that?
Yes.
That is
Yes.
great.
We belong. We all belong in the I Don't Care Club.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
And what it is this woman gets on there and rants about all the stuff she don't care about. And believe me, they're all relatable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Too funny. Too funny.
the I Don't Care Club.
Yep.
That's us.
So Jessie says that she has some Sasquatch vocalizations that she captured a few weeks ago. You guys want to hear them?
We didn't.
Yeah.
Oh
see-
my gosh.
Now, let's
Yeah.
preface this.
Heck yeah, I'm
Did not
ready.
see a
Let's do it.
Sasquatch. So
Yeah. All right.
did not see us. Okay. Okay. I did not see a Sasquatch, but I did record vocalizations. So I did not see it, but these are alleged. Let's go with alleged.
Okay.
So I am working on a big project right now about the Uwharrie National Forest. And Joe and I have been out there for months, going out there over and over and over and over again. We're doing a long-term work out there, and we've gotten some really insane vocalizations, but I have a little selection of a couple of them that I've got. I played these on my show a couple weeks ago, but these were recorded in the Uwharrie National Forest. I'll go ahead and see if I can share that with you guys. Can I do that? Let's do it. Here we go. I'm gonna pull these bad boys up. All right, so this one, pull this one up. This one is, it sounds like two entities, but you'll hear the first one and then you'll hear another one respond. All right, I've got it presenting. If you want to put it up there. There we go, kids. All right.
All right, we're wrapping this up. We're going mobile on foot.
Yeah.
We will. We might come back live later on if we run across some other patch of signal.
Yeah.
If nothing else, we'll pop in and let you guys know how everything's going. But keep your notifications on, guys, and we'll pop into the Discord and let you know if we go live. If we get some signal later. Wish us luck.
Bye, guys. That was a weird one. And I got another one, but these are just a couple out of the little selection that we have that we got from that area. And I have tons that are going to be in that doc. So, all right, here's another one. This is more of a distant yell. Be good if
And
I
he
put
was
that on.
screaming and it just stopped.
You heard it pretty well.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's just a variation in the tonality. It's
It's
not.
not coyotes. It's not.
No, the heck, it's not.
You don't know. Curse.
It's going off again. Oh my God.
There you go. So, but yeah, that's just like a couple of the ones that we had from that. But we got
Thank you
tons
for
of
sharing
audio.
that with us. That's incredible. Spooky too.
Yeah, no problem.
I have caught very similar ones around my
Yeah.
house that sound like that, and I've been told that they're probably like the females, because I know now they have a much higher. That's cool. Yeah.
Well, and Brandy and I captured, actually our friend Terry captured what sounded like your howl as well.
Yeah.
Did you recognize that howl there, Brandy?
I did. It sounded very like it was almost haunting. You know, it didn't sound like a dog or or anything else. It sounded very haunted.
Yeah. So that was really cool. Thank you for sharing it, Jesse.
Yeah, no problem. I had that pulled up. I was looking at it earlier, and I was like, I'll just share that with them. See if they want to give it a little listen.
Yep. All right, guys, we made $4,090. So let's go to 5,000.
Yes.
So
All
Jesse,
right, let's go to 5,000.
A couple people
Guys,
have
how
asked if you
amazing.
could extend the date a little bit. Is that possible?
It's possible, yeah. That's not a problem. I'll talk to the director at Bethesda. Girl named Julie. Everybody that works there is really young, and just the most compassionate people. They are doing some of the hardest. I mean, this is difficult work, and it takes a lot of fortitude for these young women to go and work these kids through this and help give them a chance at life. It's not just the healing. These kids' lives are going to be ruined. This gives them a chance to live, that their life is not destroyed at such a young age. But Friends of Bethesda on Facebook, they posted some stuff from one of their summer camps that they did. They actually took the kids to, have you ever seen those rooms where you can destroy stuff?
Yes.
Rage rooms. They took them to a rage room, and that has got to be such a cathartic experience for them to do that, to just go in there and smash it and just get that out. And one of them spray painted Survivor on the wall.
Oh, wow.
Because they truly are survivors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
I just want to remind everybody out there in chat and watching, the GoFundMe is tagged in the chat. It is linked up at the top, so make sure you go to that. Go straight to it for donate, or please share it out. We've only got a little bit left on this GoFundMe, so please, let's try to get to 5,000 tonight. Let's just try to do that. Let's try as hard as we can to get there, to get these kids to, at least if it's only 1 week, you know what? That's a week they don't have to worry. Yeah. That's a week they don't have to cry. That's a week that they're going to feel like a normal child.
Yep. And they deserve that. They absolutely deserve that.
They do.
Yep, absolutely. They do. And, even if it's, if you can only afford $1 or $2, that's okay too. Every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Guys, this has been a quick hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's already been an hour.
Doesn't even feel like
Yeah,
it.
almost. It's been an hour and 20-something minutes. Yeah.
26 minutes, hour and 26 minutes. Yeah, that's crazy. I know Jesse has you have some busy things. You got something going on tonight, don't you?
Yeah, I got to get back in the editing cave. I've been editing for weeks at this point, and cutting
You
down.
just want to get it done.
I'm almost done. I'm in the home stretch, and then I can get back to my crazy existence. But yeah, I'm in the editing cave all night tonight, and then through the next few days, and then I'm done with that project. And I cannot wait to share with everybody when that comes out. But that's going to be something I'm really proud of. It's the first time I'm directing a full-length documentary, and it's pretty guerrilla style, like I like to do. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to share that with the world when it comes out. So
yeah. Excuse me. And real quick too, people are saying in chat they want us to do this again. So maybe down the road, maybe we can each take turns on each of our channels or something.
Yeah.
Maybe doing it, or something
Absolutely.
like that. Fun. So
That'd be
absolutely.
great.
And if everybody else says, yeah, it's been good. And I appreciate each and every one of you girls. I love you all to death. And we needed to do this.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Thank you guys all for
Thank you.
spending your
Thank
Friday
you.
night with us. Is Wolf going live tonight?
I'm not sure.
He did a lot yesterday.
He went live yesterday twice. So
No, I
I'm not
saw that. I watched the replays today. Monica, you're not going on tonight.
I am. I'm going on Breezy's show.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there you go. There you go.
Everybody tune
Breezy
in over to
Speakeasy
Breezy.
at 10.
There you go. There you go. And he comes on at what, 9 or 10?
10 Central.
10 Central. Okay, good deal then. All right. Well, I appreciate you ladies. And like I said, we'll have to do this again. And appreciate all the paratroopers, the hellbenders, everybody that's out there, all the blondes and booze people. We appreciate
The no drama Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No drama Bigfoot.
Yes.
thank you all. This was fun.
Yeah,
I had a
this
great
was
time.
And it was so nice to be able to like actually kind of meet,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. Also, Brandy and I and Monica, we are doing the Crossing Realms conference. And once again, open invitation for all of you guys. So
We want to go so bad. We keep talking about this. We're like, oh God, we're so busy with so much stuff, but we're trying to finagle it. We're like, okay, how can we arrange this to where we can go? Because we really
come on,
want to go.
Jesse. Yep.
We
Come
wanna
on.
go.
You'll get it. You'll get it. I mean, even if it's the week before, you'll be like, yep, we got it.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Pull it
I'll
out
tell
of-
you what,
pull it
you
right
guys
out of the
come,
hat.
we'll definitely put you all up in a room and that kind of stuff too. So,
We'll get you taken care of.
yep.
We're going to try. We really want to go. We're like, dang it, we want to go so bad. So
Yeah. And Barb, invitation for you as well.
Yeah.
And Nellie, you and I have talked about this many
Yes.
times. So
I appreciate it so much.
for y'all.
That would be fun.
So, yep. All right, guys. Well, appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all later. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Don't forget the GoFundMe, Bigfooters for Bethesda.
Bye-bye.
Crossing Realms Conference is coming this September 19th and 20th to the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Tickets to this landmark event are on sale right now at Eventbrite. The powerful speaker lineup will cover topics from Bigfoot, UFOs, and aliens, so you will not want to miss attending this amazing 2-day inaugural event. Again, that's the Crossing Realms Conference, this September 19th and 20th at the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Please mark your calendar and get your tickets before they vanish. Space is limited.